So good evening, everyone. My name is Boris. Joining me today is Luis, and it is my pleasure to welcome our guest,
Thank you,
Alessandro,
Alessandro.
um, a seasoned professional with over 12 years of international experience. Alessandro currently leads the European customer success team at Alibaba, where he helps SMEs navigate global markets and embrace innovative solutions. He's an alumnus of our university, Bocconi, and ESADE Business School, and we're very thrilled to have him today to share his insights with us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Luis.
Can you first, we can start, can you tell us about yourself? You've worked in multiple countries.
Yes, so I'm originally from Sardinia, an island in the south of Italy. And by the time I was 18, I finished high school. I decided I wanted to pursue a career in business, and Bocconi was the perfect university to start. So I moved to Milan, relocated here, and got my degree in business administration. At the time, it was called CLEAM. Not sure if it's still the same. Back then, when I was approaching the end of the bachelor's, I realized I didn't have enough international exposure, and I decided to move abroad. So I applied for a study in Spain to get a different country perspective, both on education and eventually start a career there, and to learn a third language. I could already speak English, so adding Spanish sounded like a good plan. So I moved to Barcelona and got my degree in marketing management. Then I started working for Sony there. So I got in the Sony European Graduate Program at the time, which was a pan-European program for recent graduates. And I've started still in Barcelona, where I took care of the B2C marketing for Sony audiovisual products. Then after a while, I got a promotion to a European level. So I moved to the UK, where Sony headquarters at the time was, and took care of B2B marketing for a different product line for the entire European region. It was a time where e-commerce was booming, but was still not as widespread as today. So Amazon was the next big thing at the time. We were transitioning from the offline retail to online. So when Amazon approached me for a role, I decided to move from a traditional marketing role into a more digital role. And then I moved back to Italy. I spent 1 year in Milan for working for Amazon. At the time, I was strongly interested in having a completely different experience. I had lived abroad, but in countries where I spoke the language, and the culture was pretty much similar. I was following several Asian companies, and of course Alibaba was one of them, being the other big e-commerce player in the world beside Amazon. Then I've seen they were looking for international professionals with some international experience, some e-commerce experience, some marketing experience. I decided to apply for it. It was a program called AGLA, so Alibaba Global Leadership Academy, where they offer the relocation to China and to get to know the entire Alibaba ecosystem from within. So that sounded very interesting. I applied immediately. I got several rounds of interview. I got to an assessment center in Hangzhou, and then I was one of the 30 final winners of this program, and got to move to China for almost 2 years. Then I've started working in Alibaba first for Tmall, their B2C e-commerce platform in marketing and business development. Then I relocated to Italy when the business was mature enough, and took care of the Italian and European market since then, where I gradually build up together with the first pioneers of Alibaba in Italy, the market here. So now I lead the customer success function for Alibaba.com, so mainly taking care of B2B sellers on the platform from different European countries.
Okay, thank you very much. That was very comprehensive. You've mentioned working in different countries, Italy, China, Spain, the UK.
Yeah.
How has your international experience shaped your leadership style and just how you work in general?
Well, I would say it gave me perspective at first. So understanding that even within countries that are fairly similar, such as Italy and Spain, there are differences in how we approach problems, how we approach solutions, and what is the common background. If I make a joke in Italian, I'm pretty sure anyone in my age group will understand. In Spain, I could make it in perfect Spanish and still no one would understand because they didn't share the same background growing up. So, understanding that many things that for me were obvious are not that obvious as soon as you go out of your country, and especially then the experience in China, where the market is basically very in a very different shape. While Italy, Spain, and the UK are similarly sized in a similar stage of development, China, especially when I lived there, was still in the positive phase of its boom. So moving to a country where economy was growing double digit every year, where things were changing at an extremely fast pace, and where the culture and leadership style were shaped differently was very impactful. I would say this shaped me into a leader that listen a lot because I understand I don't have the answer, I don't have the solution. I may have one of the many possible solutions. So listening became an actively listening to what my team members, my peers, my leaders, my customers say is very important to me, and understanding that not necessarily there is one way to do things. There may be other ways. So if someone in the team has a different opinion, I tend to let them try and let them show me they are right and I'm wrong. So I would not impose my view on others.
Yeah, that's a very positive approach. To take you back a little bit, you, from what I gather, you wanted to do something related to business from a very early age. What attracted you to this field, and has your view on the field shifted throughout the years? Like your reason of pursuing, I mean, continuing to pursue a career in
Honestly,
business.
the first time I've got the idea to get into business is quite funny. I was probably 5 years old, and in TV they stopped my favorite cartoon for the. It was Berlusconi's first public speech. He was announcing he would enter politics. So I've seen him dressed up and talking in a fancy way. And I've asked my mom, who is this guy? And she told me he's an entrepreneur and a president of a big company. Oh, sounds interesting. I want to be like him in the future. And that shaped, let's say, my background. I honestly changed idea many times during my childhood, but I think I was always interested in companies, in management, and so on. So when finally I approached the end of high school, and I've heard about the Bocconi University and what type of courses they did here, I knew it was the right school for me. Obviously, over years, my approach changed. I became more mature in my view of how to do business, but I would say, yeah, that's something that I know since a very early age.
All right, Alessandro. We know throughout your career you worked at various roles and in different countries. Um, I wanted to know if you could share with us some of the key challenges that you face along the way, and how do you approach overcoming them?
Well, yeah, definitely over the years I've had my fair share of challenges. I would say the some of the most common challenges I faced were changes in the strategy that happened quite fast and quite abruptly. The way you approach them is getting used to them. So you are in a market that changes very fast, especially in e-commerce, I would say that it's an industry that's constantly changing. The tech world in general is very exposed to change, to innovation. AI disrupted the world of internet and the world of tech, and it's just one of the many disruptions we had. And also, especially now in Alibaba, we are a Chinese company. China is a market that changes very fast. It's a country that changes very fast in an industry that's changing very fast. So when you combine these two things, you have what you think is your strategy will be challenged after a few months. So you may start to plan for the next year, for the next 5 years, and then after 3 months, everything you've done is basically trash because the conditions outside change so much that you can't apply any of what you thought was reasonable 3 months ago. So learning how to embrace this change, not being overly stressed about it, it's part of your environment, so you plan for it. You need to stay calm, you need to understand that you won't have complete control, but you need to learn how to influence the things you do have control over, and especially how to go with the change. So if you can't avoid change, try to be the one to bring change to the workplace, to the market, or whatever.
I mean, reflecting on those challenges, being in, as you said, a very dynamic sector, was there a turning point that made you realize this fact in particular, in a time in particular, that influenced your approach to obstacles?
Well, I think many times it happened that I had a clear plan, then I got so much change and such a challenging target because obviously things change, but we are under pressure to deliver results and growth. And many times I would have thought, okay, this is impossible to achieve. But then I was surprised to see that, yes, you actually can achieve even under these extremely pressuring conditions. So not losing sight of the objective and maintaining a positive attitude towards it, I think that was shaped over not one single turning point, I would say, but many instances where I seen things happening, initially approaching it with this can't happen, this is impossible, this will never happen, and then being surprised when things actually went how they were supposed to go. So these influenced me in not being naive, but I would say believing that we can achieve things, and if you put your head into it and you actually convey your effort in a positive way, you can make it happen.
As we all know, you're the head of customer success in the whole European region, right? So, and this must be very stressful to and very high pressure role. So my question is, what activity outside of work do you pursue, or do you usually do to maintain balance and stay focused, particularly in this high focused position?
I've recently become a dad for the second time, so I would say that currently majority of my activities outside of job are related to spending quality time with my kids. I have a boy that is 3.5 and a girl that is just turned 1 yesterday, so those are my main activities and my main interest outside of my working life at the moment. I obviously have many interests outside of work. I used to play a lot of sports in the past. Now I had to compromise to spending some time in the gym once in a while when I have the time. I love going to movies and watching media in general. Again, I recently moved to a more children-friendly type of media. But yeah, I think nothing in particular and nothing extremely exotic at the moment. Traveling has always been one of my main passions. Again, I'm now traveling with my kids as much as I can.
So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And second of all, I think it's like a big concern of most university students when they're looking for a career. What's the situation with the work-life balance? Do you think there is a good work-life balance? In the beginning, maybe not so much, but at what point does the work-life balance become manageable? Of
So,
course, to
I
your
think-
point of view.
Thanks. My view is you need to draw the line, and it does not a right or wrong. I think it's like in Alibaba, one of the values, we have 6 values, and one of them is live seriously, work happily, which means normally you would think the opposite, but this is actually one of the values we don't evaluate. There's no evaluation on it. It just means you need to be happy at work and you need to be serious when you approach your life, because you have one life and you need to spend it in the right way. It also helps to see the difference in approach between the Western and the Chinese style. In the West, you are used to think of a work-life balance. When I talk to Chinese people, they told me, what do you have to balance? Work is part of life. So you are balancing life with life. It's just one part of it. So in the end, you get to understand that there's not right or wrong there. It just depends on what is your drive at the moment. When I started my career, I was very eager to advance and to learn. I normally spent more time working than I was supposed to. There were time in my life where I worked many hours per day, especially if I was abroad, had little to do outside of work, if not purely entertainment activities. So why not spend a little bit more time on the job? It's not like I had any other commitment beside it. As I got older, I got married, I got kids, I'm a lot more careful to how much time I dedicate to work. I know that I have other commitments I need to tend to. So I draw the line and I know that it's not healthy for me to spend more than X hours. And those hours may change depending on the time of the year. If there is a specific week where I need to work more than usual, it's okay because I know it's 1 week. If there are time of the year where there's not much to do in the office, I will check out before the normal time and go spend time with my kids. What am I doing at the office if I have nothing to do there? So you get older, you need to understand how to manage your time, and as long as you deliver value, you deliver results. No one will question what time did you check out today, what time did you check in yesterday. There may be times where I spend 12 hours there and times I spend 6 hours there.
Yeah. So time management is key.
Yeah.
I think this is a good point for us to transition into the more main part of this conversation. Can you tell us a little bit more about your current role at Alibaba?
Yeah, so Alibaba is a big group. So Alibaba, when we say Alibaba, normally we mean Alibaba Group, which is a conglomerate of different businesses. There used to be Alipay inside it, which spin off as a separate company, but still we have many different e-commerce businesses. We have a logistic business, we have media, we have cloud. There are many different businesses within the Alibaba Group, and not all of them are actively working in Europe or in Italy. Currently, the majority of our presence here locally is Alibaba.com, which is the first business unit ever created. It was the business that Jack Ma originated in 1999, and it is a B2B marketplace. So we help sellers, which are local companies, export globally. So my team takes care of supporting these sellers from the different European countries to be successful on the platform. So to receive the right amount of traffic, to receive the targeted traffic they need, to get orders, to get successful, and to remain active and invest on the platform. So this is the key and the core of my team's scope.
Is the trade just between European companies, or is the trade with
It's
China as well?
global to global.
Okay.
So it's one of the few marketplaces which doesn't have a geographic bound. If we have other businesses in Alibaba, such as Tmall, which is only selling to China. So when you work with Tmall, even as an Italian company, you do so to export to China. Alibaba.com is a global to global, so you could export to China as well as to Germany, US, or India. It doesn't really matter.
Can you tell us a bit more, what does European customer success mean? What is your core responsibility? What are you...
Core responsibility, as the name says, is the success of the customer. And by customer, we mean the seller, not the end customer. So the seller is our customer because they pay to use Alibaba services. So making sure these sellers are successful and make good use of the investment they've done. They get a return on the investment and they're happy to stay with Alibaba is the core of the job.
Okay, thank you. And what can you consider your biggest strength in this line of work? You're working with businesses, but essentially those businesses there's some person that's in charge. What's your biggest strength?
My biggest strength, I would say, first of all, I've spent many years in e-commerce, so I understand the product quite well for not being an engineer. I mean, I'm not a technical person, but I have a general understanding of the product, and I've got my hands dirty enough in the platform to understand what they need to do to be successful. Having worked in different countries also got me a good understanding and a good idea of what you need to do to be successful in an international business and how to communicate with sellers from different countries. And I think over time I also developed a good leadership style, also based on my experience. So whatever my team does, I've done it. So I can say I lead from an experience point of view. I'm not just a manager that doesn't understand what the team is doing and just set unrealistic goals there because doesn't have a clear idea of what they're doing. I've been there, I've done that, and I understand their pain, so I can also understand how to help them.
That's very insightful and much appreciated. I would like to actually go to a more specific topic about maybe if you could tell us a recent project that you really enjoy working on, and if there was any challenges in it, what did you specifically liked about it?
Well, recently we've been working for years with the ICE, which is the Italian Trade Association. So it's a government entity supporting local businesses, and this gave us the chance to work with many Italian SMEs and support many Italian SMEs in their first quest to digitalization and export. So I think the impact of working with companies and having the chance to make a difference in the way they approach to export was specifically what I've enjoyed about this.
Thank you. But there was any challenges that you encounter specifically?
Well, of course, when you work with companies that don't have the experience previously, they start from scratch. So many logics of e-commerce that are quite basic understanding for people who's been there for years may be new for companies that are smaller, may not have a previous digital experience, may have the challenge of tight budget or not have dedicated people for online business. So all of these obviously we had to overcome, but I think it's part of what I like, having to overcome difficulties to make a tool that is quite obvious for people with a certain background more widespread. It's an opportunity that should be spread among the general public as much as possible, and that could help a lot SMEs to thrive in a globalized world.
Yeah, typically when you're given a new project to work on, what would you say is your main approach to it? Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you're given a new project to work on?
Normally understanding the project. So I would take my time to study through the project. Is it the first time we do it as someone else did it in another country, in another geography? What are the targets? Are they realistic compared to the timeline and to the specific market? So I would say spending time understanding what you have to do is the first thing. And and then when you move into action, make sure to have a plan, and make sure you have different sets of plan, because as I said before, conditions may change quite quickly. So if you stick to the plan too much, you are in for going down. You need to have an overall plan, but you also need to be flexible.
Okay. Now this is probably a very recurrent thing that we're going to talk about, but building upon what you said earlier, how have you adapted the cultural and professional differences when transitioning from working in Hangzhou when you first started working at Alibaba to later go in Europe and have very different people and cultures? How did you overcome that?
So I think the biggest difference is the take you have on Alibaba when experiencing it in China and locally. When I worked in China, I was in a campus where we had around 18 buildings, a lake, and you had to take a bicycle or a golf cart just to move from one building to the other. There were hundreds of thousands of people working in that campus, and Alibaba was basically the center of the city. So in Hangzhou, everyone knows Alibaba. When you take a taxi, if they see your badge, they will say, "Oh, you work for Alibaba, you must be important." They actually suggest you hide your badge when you go around, because it's something so well known and so central to the life of everyone. Everyone orders on Taobao, everyone orders on Tmall, everyone has Alipay on their phone. So you work for a core part of every Chinese daily life. When you go back to Europe, Alibaba is, people kind of know that Alibaba is a Chinese company. They probably know about Jack Ma. They think it's the Chinese Amazon in some cases, but that's about it. So you go to a different world where you need to explain a lot more in details what you're doing. Majority of people don't have a clear idea of what you do, of what actually Alibaba does, and it's definitely not as big and as important as it is in China. So that was the main change of paradigm.
Okay, thank you very much. And I would like to ask you a last question about it. How do you maintain a balance between Alibaba's global vision and the specific needs of European markets?
This is exactly what my role is about. So bridging the global versus local. So when you get to a point of global company, that could be Alibaba or any other global company, you may have senior management having a very high level picture of the business, but obviously that high level picture can't see the details. If you see the world from above, you may see the geography, but you will never see the specificity of each place. So this is where my role is to bridge that. So collecting the insights from the market and make sure that at higher levels they understand what are our pains, our needs, our what we need from them to be able to achieve the goal.
I'll take you again back to the previous question on a more just a cultural and day-to-day base. How did you adapt to life in China? China is so different from Europe and maybe many of our viewers who want to someday go and work in China. How did you adapt?
Well, I think obviously it depends on where in China you go. So I was in Hangzhou, and at the time Hangzhou was still quite local in terms of quite Chinese compared to a Shanghai. In Shanghai you don't need to speak Chinese. You can go by speaking English and everyone understands English. Everything is in both languages. There is a big community of expats, and basically you could go by and just spend your time with expats speaking English and never interact with the local community. In Hangzhou, that was definitely not possible. So first, get the curiosity to understand the place you're in, and this was a big part of what fascinated me about life in China. I wanted to get into the local. I wanted to understand how people live there. I didn't want to spend time with other expats and just speak English about, oh yeah, I'm from Italy, you are from US, oh great, we are in China, let's go to have some European beer. I wanted to get down to the local, experience the local food, experience the local culture, live, so I try to avoid taking only taxi. Majority of expats only go by taxi because it's quite cheap in China to get by taxi. I would try to take the metro or the bus and try to use local transportation and blend in. Definitely it has its challenges, like trying to get people to understand what food you want when you order, trying to get the taxi driver to understand where you need to go. So I more or less developed a survival Chinese. I wouldn't say I speak Chinese, but I have a survival base of Chinese. I know how to make people understand if I want to go from point A to point B or what type of food I would like to have. That I think would be the biggest challenge. In terms of food, I'm quite adaptable. In Hangzhou, there weren't many Italian restaurants at the time, but I went by with Chinese food for 6 months before I started to say, okay, I would like to have a pizza now. But yeah, I think those are the challenges you may face.
You said you love to travel. Would you take your family to visit China? Have they visited?
So one thing, my wife is a second generation Chinese. So she grown up in Italy, but her parents came from China. So my family background is also mixed. So definitely I would take them to China. My kids are half Chinese, so it would make sense for them to visit the other part of their heritage. So I would say definitely yes. But even if it wasn't for that, I think it would be a very valuable experience for any kid to travel outside of Europe.
Yeah, that's really lovely. But I think we're on the final stretch now. So what advice would you give someone that's interested in pursuing a career in e-commerce, B2B?
So I would say start as soon as possible. Get your hand dirty. So try to start your own e-commerce. Get to any site builder and try to build your own. Get to experience what are the logic. So even if you are a business person, you should understand the basic of what's behind it. So you are working with a product that's developed and has its own logic. So you should have a basic understanding of traffic, how to get traffic, how to position your website, how to design a banner. Those are very basic skills that nowadays are quite easy to achieve with any AI tool or any site builder. Won't name any, but they are quite famous and obvious. and at the same time go for it. So try to enter one of the e-commerce companies, try to travel around, even go abroad, and I think make as much experience as you can in your 20s. I think when you are 20 or 20 something, let's say before your 30s, you have the chance to experience different things and to build up your career. I wouldn't focus on salary when you are young. It doesn't really matter what your base salary is when you are 25. As long as it's enough to pay for your expenses, it's about the experience it gives you and how it positions you for your growth in the future. Because if you are in the right growth path for what you would like to achieve and you are good at it, at some point money will come. If you take the jobs that pay the most at the very beginning but are not aligned with what you want to do, you may find yourself stuck in a career that you don't like, and then it will be difficult to start from scratch in your 30s. The worst thing would be taking a career and realizing at 35 or 40, oh no, this wasn't what I wanted to do, let's start again and go back to junior position in your 40s.
Yeah, yeah. So since you mentioned mistake, I'll ask you one last question for myself. What is the most common mistake many people have gone by you? What's the most common mistake young professionals make when first stepping into this career path?
The most common mistake is waiting for the job to be clear and expecting that everything is set and is given to you as it is. I would say the basic requirement for your job may be 1 to 5. Try and understand what's the 6 and 7. So try to go beyond that. Ask questions, talk to as many people in other departments as possible, get to know what other people are doing, how you could help other teams. I think that's first will help you learn, because maybe your first role is not the right role for you. So you may want to know, beside what you do, what others are doing, whether you could help, whether you could understand what they do and get a general overview. Try to step into different roles. I've gone through marketing, business development, operations and service. I think that helps you to understand how the company works. I would say there are better marketers than me, but I know how to do marketing and what they do. There are better salespeople than me, but I know how to sell and I know what they do. And I have a general understanding of what everyone does in the company, which is an asset when you have to work with other teams or take decisions.
As you probably perceived, I'm more of an analytical type, so I would like to dive into the specific again. Are there any resources or professional networks that you recommend to, to someone that maybe is watching, that aspires to work in e-commerce or a career path similar to yours?
Well, I would say I don't think there is any particular resources beside attend events. So you are in a university that is quite well known abroad. That has a strong alumni network. I think out of Bocconi alumni, you will find people in Alibaba, in Amazon, and in any other big e-commerce company. So reach out to alumni events, ask to get common connections to them, talk to people, ask questions, and try to step out of your comfort zone in approaching to other people. And beside that, read as much as you can. So try to understand visit the websites of each company, try to understand what we do, what other e-commerce companies do. Try to read about where the market is going and try to test the instruments. So try to operate a store, try to use any tool that you have available and get a general understanding of how it works.
how do you see the future of Alibaba or this industry evolving over the next few years?
Well, I think it's quite a big question for me. I'm not in the right position to say where I see the future of the company or the industry. I think definitely we will see changes. We will see like AI disrupted this world again, and I think in the future the way people search for things will be very different from what we see now. We've seen it even for search engines. AI is starting to change the behavior of people. We've seen that in many countries, mobile took over laptop in terms of purchasing and search behavior. It will happen even in Europe and more traditional countries such as ours. I think we will see innovation that we can forecast at the moment, because 2 years ago no one would have expected ChatGPT to be out and to change the way we do things in the world. We will probably see other things, but again, I'm not yet in a position where I can predict the future.
Thank you so much, Alessandro, for sharing your time and valuable insights
My
with us
pleasure.
today. It's been an incredible opportunity to learn about your journey and gain inspiration from your experiences. We're confident that your advice will resonate with many of the listeners here that want to maybe pursue a similar career path such as yours. And a big thank you for also Radio Bocconi as well for providing this facility for tonight's conversation. And we truly appreciate your support and in making this event possible. And to the audience, thank you very much for tuning in. And yeah, until next time, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you, everyone.